Hi everybody, it's Tanya at Dark Moon Papery. Welcome to my channel. Hope you're all having a good day, a good evening, whatever it is you're doing. I hope you're all well. So today I want to show you a custom journal that I've made. This is a cahier sized journal with a French vintage theme. So here she is. Just absolutely loving the cover. Look at this gorgeous fabric. This is vintage fabric. Tied with gorgeous green and blue sari ribbon. And just have a look at that. I really like the cover for this one. I'm really pleased how it turned out. So let's undo the closure and have a look. So there you go. Vintage crochet doily. Vintage mother of pearl buttons. Vintage linen button there. And I love this gorgeous sari trim. I love the shape of it. It's really gorgeous. And it just goes so well with these flowers. And then I've also sewn on a little vintage brooch. It's a bit battered and a bit worn. There's a stone missing. I didn't have a stone to replace that, but I actually like that because I like the sort of well-worn, well-travelled look. So yeah, there she is, a little bit of dyed muslin fabric there and a little scrap of lace. Look at that side view. Love that side view. Love all the fabrics. And there's a few little charms just peeking out there. So, before we have a look as well, this is just a packet of goodies. You may have seen these on my Instagram channel where I've made these envelopes with vintage redoute roses illustrations on little collaging scraps, just tied up with some nice sari ribbon, finished with a little mother of pearl button. And there's some goodies in there that I'm not going to show you. That's going to be a surprise for the person who's receiving this journal. So I'll just put that to one side. So let's have a look. So on the inside, best make sure I'm in frame. On the inside, got vintage botanical illustration. We've got this gorgeous photo. I think that's some park in Paris, or I'm not quite sure. Can't quite remember. And we've got a lovely vintage French postcard. And a nice piece of vintage French ephemera, like a receipt or something, dated 1934. And I've just collaged some little scraps on there just to add to it. Who doesn't love a bit of extra decoration? And then this is vintage wallpaper with some antique script on the side there. And then we've got this gorgeous pink label. Love that. Love the design. Oh, I'm losing the paper clip there. And then on this side, this was just another piece of a vintage receipt that I've done some collaging on. And I love this gorgeous photo of this lady here. And then you'll be able to hopefully see there's kind of like a rose pattern on there, and that's because on the other side of the page, this is where I did some texture paste through a stencil, and it kind of like picked up the colour from the page, but also created this reverse image on the other side, and I just love that effect. It's just fabulous. And then we've got gorgeous journal card here. I've used printables from Ruby and Pearl. I love her printables. Love the style that Heather has. So, you know, do check out her Etsy. She has some absolutely amazing digital kits. So, nice journal card there. This is a Ruby and Pearl digital, and I've just glued this just to decorate a piece of ledger paper. I love this ledger because it's kind of, I think it's had like water on it at some point in its life, and the lines have blurred, but it was fairly blank here, and I just thought that went lovely with the ledger paper. Lovely bit of sari ruffle, of course. That's the other side of the ledger. You can see how you know, everything's kind of blurred, but I love how the script has stayed intact. That's wonderful. And here, just a little Paris photograph, and another digital there. Gorgeous lace. Love this colour sari ribbon. And there's a little glass bead charm there. So on this page, I've used a printable from the Graphics Fairy, a music sheet printable. Don't know whether you might be able to just see those lines there. I printed it on some hand-dyed paper. And then we've got a gorgeous black and white Paris postcard, just a little bit of trim on there. This is from a vintage French embroidery magazine, and then I've just added snippets of antique lace and the sari trim from the front. Down here we've got some vintage wallpaper, vintage crochet, and just a little bit of sparkle. I do love my sparkle. A little bit of diamante that I've attached there. Love this gorgeous French ephemera. I think that was with that's a magazine. I think that was with it. So that's that there, and a gorgeous little handmade journal card. Do love these roses. These rose images are from a nearly vintage book of David Austin roses, and it's just full of fabulous photos of roses, and I just love to use them on journaling cards. So on this next page, I do really like this page. It's one of my favourite pages. Just, you know, like bits of collaging on there, a vintage envelope that's actually got a letter in it. And that again is from Paris. got some modern stamps here. I love stamps, and I do like to include stamps wherever I can. And these are modern, but I just like them, and they just really went with the page really well. And then I've used a tea card, a vintage tea card with a gorgeous butterfly on. There's a little tuck spot there, and another little vintage tea card as well, with some wildflowers on. And then on the other side, this is a shorter page that I've actually made from some ledger paper that I dyed. And vintage postcard here. This is of another view in Paris. There you go. I do love these old black and white postcards. And then I found this rose image in amongst some vintage cards that I had, and I just thought it's perfect for this journal, and just made it into a journal card with a bit of vintage wallpaper and some vintage ledger, and of course a French stamp. Lots of French stamps throughout. This is the other side of that half page, with a bit of collaging on with some fabric, bit of antique lace here. And then this side is where I'd hand-dyed some paper and I'd laid out some doilies on top. It didn't turn out as clear as I hoped, but I love that effect. I just think it looks really good. And I love this sari ribbon with it. Over here, some gorgeous embroidery on like net. It's modern, but it's lovely, and I think it works well as with, you know, it's kind of got that vintage vibe. I've just added some vintage crochet here. In fact, I think that might be antique. I think that was from an old tablecloth that I had. And then on this side, I've used a digital postcard, and this is one of my own digitals. And at least I think it is. I'm pretty sure it is. Yeah, I think it is. And then I've just made this tag here. The base of this is a ruby and pearl printout. But I love how this one's turned out. Again, I've used one of those David Austin Rose photographs. A little bit of antique script. And I just love how that's turned out. I really like this style. On the other side, I've just collaged on a little bit of French book page. And then this is from an old Reader's Digest book, and it has all these gorgeous illustrations in. And I just love that. Love the roses. Over the page, this is another piece from a French vintage embroidery magazine. Got a vintage playing card there. We've got some vintage lace and some vintage, I think that's broderie anglaise, isn't it? Yeah. So that's that. And I love this. I absolutely love this card. This again was from some vintage birthday cards that I had. It's a bit battered and worn, but I just love that. And then it's just a little bit of sparkly there, and that ticket. And then on the other side, I've just glued some vintage ledger. And then this is part of a food can label. Just love the colours. But I really like that. I just really like that card. Slot that back in there. Over the other side, this is the rest of that food can label. Love that. I love that contrast of the green and yellow. And this is modern lace, but I think that goes really well with this. And it's just got a little bit of glitter in. I don't know whether you can see that. That's lovely. And then this is, it's just a scrap that I had lying about from, I think it was a letter. But I just love that. I've got quite a few pieces of vintage French ephemera that have come from wine producers, champagne producers, cognac producers. I'm not quite sure where I got them from. I'll try and remember and post it in the comments if I can. Love the purple typewriting on the back. And then this is from a sample digital kit. It's her French haberdashery kit. I'm sure quite a few of you will have seen her gorgeous kit. That's another one that I definitely recommend. And I've just made a little journaling card with just a cute little bit of sparkly there. I do love my sparkle. I love my gold. Speaking of sparkle, more sparkle on this page. Gorgeous embroidery. Again, this is modern, but just love it. And it has a gorgeous vintage vibe. This side I've just collaged on some French book page. Some more of that texture paste stenciling. And then this is just a tuck spot from hand-dyed hand-dyed doily, paper doily. Love that. Little mother of pearl button as the trim there. This is the other side with the doily. They make such good pockets. Really love them. Love how that's turned out. And you can see also on this page that the stenciling has come through. I hope you can see that. So you kind of get this reverse pattern of the stenciling, and it's kind of picked up the dye in the paper. Another card from the Sampool haberdashery kit. I do love these haberdashery ephemera pieces. And I've just added some vintage wallpaper, and this is a little bit of very vintage sari trim with some Sardosi embroidery on it. Just backed with some ledger paper, and I've just tried to age it, and I've kind of like bashed it on the desk to sort of get a few notches in it. And I just love how that's turned out. And then this is some antique ledger. Just love the handwriting and a little snippet of embroidery there. I don't think that's particularly vintage, but just love it. It works so well with this journal. And then you may have seen this page on my Instagram. This is the page with the gorgeous antique lace. I just love this. And the other side of that antique ledger, you can see that says 1876. I just love antique script, antique documents. It's just, unbelievably fascinating. On the other side, another hand-dyed doily with a bit of modern sparkly trim. And another piece from Sam's digital kit. And this is some vintage sari trim. I've had absolutely ages. I will absolutely cry when this runs out. When I've used up the last scrap, I will absolutely cry because it's just so gorgeous, and I haven't managed to find another vintage sari with quite this same trimming, but I will keep looking. But yeah, just a little bit of journaling space there as well on the back, and a little bit of antique script, more sparkly. This is hand-dyed paper too, and it's got the gold powders that I love using. I love that effect. And then on this side, we've got more vintage wallpaper. That's a pocket there. And a little bit of collaging at the bottom. Little vintage button there. And over this side, this is some vintage French music sheet, and I've just collaged more of that vintage wallpaper on there. And then we reach the centre, and this is a stunning photo. Well, I think it's a stunning photo from this David Austin Roses book that I've mentioned. Just love those. I would love to grow roses like that in my garden. Unfortunately, I just don't seem to be able to grow roses. I don't know whether it's the conditions in our garden, but they never look like that anyway. So they're just gorgeous. I love that colour. And then a little vintage label there. And this, I don't know whether the camera's picking up the sparkle. This is Art Deco metallic lace, and it was actually salvaged from a 1920s flapper dress. This amazing lace. And I absolutely love it. I'll cry when I run out of that as well. But yeah, love that page. Over the other side, more of that French music sheet, a little bit of French book page there, vintage wallpaper, and some more from that very old tablecloth that I had. You can see the powders on that side that I've used. They're now what are they called? Infusions by Paper Artsy. They're just absolutely fabulous. You just basically sprinkle them onto paper and either spritz with water or sprinkle them onto damp paper. So when I hand dye my papers, I sprinkle the powders on, and they just kind of like burst into life kind of thing and make these gorgeous patterns, this gorgeous effect. More hand-dyed doily, and more of that antique ledger, more sparkly stuff. This is the other side, more of that embroidery. It's kind of like tiny cross stitch on net. That was kindly gifted to me by somebody that I know on Facebook. More doily, and this is another card that I really love. So this image is taken from a vintage, I'm saying 20 years old, book of Redoute's rose paintings. I just love that image. Nice bit of sari trim on there. And then again, I've just backed it with some vintage German ledger paper. This was actually some vintage wallpaper, and I've left the edges all sort of gnarly and you know, sort of hung them over. I love this edge. I'm really beginning to appreciate torn edges. When I first started making journals and journaling cards and things, I kind of didn't get the whole torn edge look, but now I really do. And everything's getting torn, but I just love that effect. And this paper was quite fragile, so it's, you know, it's good that it's on a sturdy backing, but I love how the edges are sort of fraying even more. Do love that page. And then this you probably seen on my Instagram, hand-dyed doily with more of that modern embroidery. At the top we've got some vintage lace and some more of that Art Deco metallic lace. And then this is an antique illustration from an antique book, so it's actually just cut out of the book itself. And this comes from a box of antique illustrations that all been cut out of books, and I think they were from, I want to say 1885. I think that's about right. But there's about 200 of these illustrations, and some of them I'm going to scan for a digital kit that I'm working on. But this is an actual illustration taken from this book. Just love it. And then on the other side, I did some collaging with vintage wallpaper and ephemera to make a pocket. The pocket actually only goes to here because I wanted this collaging area separate. I didn't want a deep pocket on here. And then gorgeous little tea card, and I love this photo of this couple. Oops, get that in frame. That was from a wonderful batch of vintage and antique photos that I got. Just love that. And then this is more from the Reader's Digest book, these illustrations here. And then these are taken from a Dutch Verkade album page. Just love these illustrations. They were kindly gifted to me by a lovely customer. Love this page. I think this is possibly my favourite page in the journal. And then on this side, really like how this has turned out. I'm sure some of you will recognise that this is a ruby and pearl printable, and I've just cut round the edge of the flower. I absolutely love this flower image. Done a little bit of collaging here. And then there's a tag here, a vintage tag, and these are flowers from my garden that I dried earlier on in the summer. And I've just stuck them on there with a bit of Mod Podge glue and then just sealed over the top of them. But I love the colours. They've kept so well. Love that tag. More from the Vintage Embroidery magazine. And another sample digital. Love these haberdashery cards. And I've just put on some, I think this is antique lace if I remember right, with some of that modern trim. And again, I've kind of like bashed around the edges. Just whacked it on the desk a few times. Just to get that nice sort of aged look. And then, do you know, I said that other page was my most favourite, but I'd forgotten about this page because I really love this page as well. I love the colours and how everything came together so easily for this page. So starting on this side, we've got lovely butterfly tea card, just a little snippet from a vintage congratulations card, some journaling space on the back. This is vintage wallpaper. I got my vintage wallpapers from Jack's at Roro Retro. I'll post links when I post the video. And this was a postcard that came in a package from Sarah at Crafty Paper Bits. Love the little birdies there. And then on the other side, this is more Ruby and Pearl digitals. Some little tickets. And just this little tuck spot here with the vintage tea card. And just a little bit from a jewellery piece. I think it was a bracelet that fell apart. And I just love how it works here. Don't know if you can see that properly. Just that bit of sparkle. And then a nice piece of French ephemera here. And this is dated 1921, I think. So yeah, I don't know, maybe this is my favourite page. Yeah, I do love this page. And then on the other side, I've used some vintage crochet. Well, it's actually from like a table runner kind of thing. More hand-dyed paper. And then this is the other side of that hand-dyed ledger with a vintage postcard. Some lovely sparkly trim there. And then that flips out. Lots of journaling space here. And one of those gorgeous David Austin Rose photos. On the other side, a lovely Paris postcard of Le Sacré-Cœur. More collaging here. And pockets. Plenty of space for journaling. That's the other side of the Le Petit Echo de la Monde magazine ephemera. With vintage wallpaper border and nice pocket there. Graphics Fairy printable. And then this is from a bunch of Edwardian scraps that I found on eBay. Just love this little illustration here. It's kind of like an advertising piece. Love that. And then another handmade tag. Again, Ruby and Pearl. Just a bit of collaging. I love this. Love the colour of this sari ribbon. Another Paris black and white postcard there. Journaling space on the back. The Arc de Triomphe. And then on this side, more of that blurry ledger. Not quite so blurry actually on this side. And then this is another handmade tag, again with the base Ruby and Pearl printable, little bit of lace, gorgeous rose image. And I actually love how this page turned out. Well, I love how everything's turned out, to be honest, you know, but I like how this one's turned out. This is a gorgeous little photograph on a, well, postcard photograph. This gorgeous little girl here. And I've just added some snippets of lace at the top, and then this gold wax stamp here. And on this side, this is actually a pocket. So the whole thing's a pocket there. A little snippet from that food label. And then inside, I've just put some scraps of ledger and some more of that vintage wallpaper that can be used for collaging or writing on. So that goes in there. Love that rose image. And then on the last page, I've left that blank because it had all this gorgeous gold on it, and I really didn't want to cover it up. So I just added the ruffle trim, so plenty of space to write there. Then the other side of that vintage botanical illustration. And I love this postcard at the back with just some snippets collaged at the bottom. Love this blue striped vintage wallpaper. And that's it. That's the tour of the custom journal. I'm so pleased with how it turned out. I hope you enjoyed this flip through. Thank you for watching. Do let me know what you think in the comments. Give me a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel. That would be absolutely grand. And hope you all have a fabulous day, fabulous evening, and keep well. Speak soon.